My name is Jasmine Whitaker. I was 75 years old the day I buried my husband in front of 200 people, none of whom were my family. At the exact minute they lowered Tom into the ground, my phone lit up with 34 photos of my daughter's birthday party. Gold balloons, a 3-tier cake, my daughter raising a glass. The day before, my daughter had answered the funeral invitation with a single text. "Today is your granddaughter's birthday. We can't come." My children chose a dinner reservation over my husband's casket, and my family posted the pictures to prove it. For 6 months after that, none of them called me, not once. Then one Saturday morning, a headline about me landed on every porch in town, and the same people who couldn't drive 11 minutes to a funeral suddenly called me 11 times in 4 hours. What they found out I had, and what I did about it at a ribbon cutting in front of the whole town, none of them saw coming. Welcome back to Hidden Truth Revenge, where the people who were supposed to love you become the story you survived. If your family ever measured you by what you could show off instead of who you are, this one is for you. Drop a comment and be sure to subscribe because that headline is coming. Tom died on a Thursday in October at 10 minutes past 2 in the afternoon, standing in the paint aisle of the hardware store his hands had kept alive for 20 years. A blood vessel in his brain. There one heartbeat, gone the next. He was 78. Walt, his store manager and best friend, called me while I was at home. I remember the hallway and then nothing until the hospital parking lot. Here's what kind of man my husband was. That same morning, he had stuck a note on my lunchbox. I still have that last one. At the counter, the last thing Tom Whitaker ever rang up 90 seconds before he fell was a box of wood screws for a kid building his mother a wheelchair ramp. He charged him half price. He always charged half price for ramps, for school projects, for anybody trying to fix something for somebody else. Marion Falls, Ohio, is not a big town. By Friday morning, there were flowers piled against the store's front door. The town would remember that box of wood screws for a reason none of us could have imagined yet. I called my daughter that night from Tom's side of the bed. I told her my husband was dead. There was a pause, and then my daughter said, "Oh, honey, how awful," and then asked, "Will it be a big service?" Not "How are you?" She wanted the attendance forecast. The funeral was set for the following Tuesday. Yes, my granddaughter's birthday. I knew the date when I chose it. I asked my sister to remind everyone. The morning before the funeral, my phone buzzed. My daughter, one text, "Today is your granddaughter's birthday. We can't come." I stood there with the iron in my hand. No second text came. I thought that message was the cruelest thing my daughter would ever send me. I was wrong. 200 people came to my husband's funeral. The church ran out of seats. 20 years of hardware customers came. My former colleagues came. The Little League team came in uniform because Tom had paid for those uniforms every spring. Walt gave the eulogy, and the front pew reserved for family sat empty the whole service. Rosa Delgado, my neighbor, got up and sat next to me. A woman who had known me 6 years did what the people who had known me 75 years would not. At 2:00, while they lowered my husband into the ground, my phone lit up. 34 photos posted public. Gold balloons, 3-tier cake, my daughter raising a glass. The caption by my daughter read, "Family is everything." I stood at my husband's grave in my black dress and scrolled all 34 photos. I did not comment. I turned the phone off and listened to the shovel. The restaurant where those balloons were taped is 11 minutes by car from the church. They could not drive 11 minutes. Remember that number because 6 months later, every one of them would drive much faster for a very different reason. I met Tom 35 years ago when the radiator in my classroom died. He showed up after closing, fixed it for nothing. We were married at the courthouse. No kids of our own. The kids at the store and in my class are ours, he said. In his desk drawer was a folder labeled Tom's Workshop. Inside was our dream, a free trade school for county kids. No tuition. For 6 months after the funeral, complete silence from my family. No casserole, no card, not one call. Then a text from my daughter, "Hope you're holding up." Question: did the store leave you with debts? Every night I sat at Tom's desk and opened the graph paper folder. It stopped being his dream I was grieving and started being an instruction I was late for. The first week of December, the attorney called. Tom had left me everything: the store, rental buildings, investments, a little over $2.3 million, everything to me. Then she slid the graph paper note. If you're reading this, finish it, Bertie. I went back to Ellen Brooks and asked her to build the school permanently. $1.9 million into an irrevocable charitable trust named Tom's Workshop. It could never be renamed or redirected. We reopened the store. The town came. Cole Barrett, 19, asked if the apprenticeship was still open. He became the first student. A reporter came. The story ran. Widow turns husband's hardware store into free trade school. $1.9 million gift. The paper hit porches at 6 a.m. My phone rang for the first time at 9:41 a.m. My daughter. By 1:00, I had 11 missed calls, 6 months of silence, 1 headline about money, 11 calls. They came to my house with flowers. My daughter hugged me on the porch. Inside, she appraised the house. Then came the ask: family invests in family. $150,000 for my son-in-law's business. And later, the name on the school, the Wheeler Family Foundation. At the ribbon cutting, 200 people came. My family arrived dressed perfectly. The front row had name cards for those who had shown up. My family was seated in row 4. I gave the speech. I honored the people who showed up. Walt pulled the cloth. The gate read in Tom's handwriting, "Show up, that's the whole secret." My daughter left through the middle of the standing ovation. I understand my daughter now. But understanding doesn't mean I owe my husband's name. The school lives, the saws started. Cole graduated. My daughter helps sometimes. We are not healed. We are honest. My daughter still tells her version. I kept the carpenters. Most evenings I lock up last. I put my hand on the carved gate. Tom was right. Show up. That's the whole secret. The seat I begged for at their table turned out to be a folding chair. The table I built instead seats the entire town. If your family ever measured you by what you could show them instead of who you are, tell me in the comments. I read every single one. Thank you for watching Hidden Truth Revenge. Some things should stay exactly what the person who built them meant them to be. All characters, conflicts, and events are fictional and created only for entertainment and educational purpose.